Welcome back. If you're here, you probably care about thinking deeply. Last time we looked at what makes a worldview worth believing, how it should be coherent, match reality, and be livable. But today I want to ask you something even more personal. Would you rather be comfortable or know what's true? Now, I'm not asking what you should want. I'm asking what you actually want, because those two don't always line up. Truth isn't always gentle. Sometimes it unsettles us, not because it's wrong, but because it asks us to let go of long-held assumptions. You know, for centuries, people believed the earth sat at the center of the universe. That wasn't just a scientific model, it was a deep emotional reassurance. We were at the center of it all. Then came Copernicus and Galileo. Suddenly, we were just spinning on one rock through a vast and different cosmos. That truth was disorienting, but it also clarified reality, because real growth, the kind that expands understanding, often begins when illusions fall away. If that makes us uncomfortable, maybe that's the price of seeing clearly. As philosopher and mathematician Bertrand said, the demand for certainty is one which is natural to man, but is nevertheless an intellectual vice. In other words, craving certainty is human, but it can pull us away from truth. When we cling to black and white answers just to feel secure, we often trade clarity for comfort. Real understanding usually involves some tension, some humility, and the courage to live with open questions. Comfort could be a trap. It whispers, don't question that, don't make things complicated. And it's not just about ease, it's about belonging. It feels good to be part of a group that shares your values, gives you answers, and makes you feel accepted. That kind of comfort is powerful. But pursuing truth might mean stepping back from that group. It might mean questioning what everyone around you holds dear. It could mean criticism, exclusion, or even losing relationships. So here's the hard part. If your worldview struggles to make room for difficult questions or unexpected evidence, it might be worth asking how well it can support a lifetime of growth. And if staying comfortable means ignoring important parts of reality, whether scientific, spiritual, or moral, perhaps it's time to pause and reflect. Comfort says, just go along with it. But avoiding hard questions can make our beliefs brittle. History shows us that Socrates was executed not for harming Athens, but for making people uncomfortable by asking hard questions. Comfort protects the status quo, but truth often disrupts it. I propose that a strong worldview must be able to face complexity, tension, and challenge. If it can't withstand honest inquiry, it may not be built to last. Truthfully, what we call comfort is often really about fitting in. There's deep security in being part of a group that tells you who you are and how the world works. Questioning that can feel like betrayal of your family, your church, your culture, or your academic tribe. And the cost can be high. You might be labeled disloyal, dangerous, or divisive. You might lose status or friendships. And some will say, why bother? I'd rather be fat, dumb, and happy. And I get it. This isn't a call to obsess over doubts or bury yourself in obscure philosophy. It's an invitation to pause, especially when your beliefs feel fragile or when new information doesn't fit. Sometimes the cracks in our worldview don't appear until life hits hard through grief, suffering, injustice, or inner conflict, or when we realize we've been filtering out parts of reality just to protect our beliefs. For example, if you're a naturalist or scientist who dismisses spiritual experience, moral intuition, or the idea that life might actually have meaning and purpose, you could be overlooking something essential to being a human. And if you're a Christian who avoids discussions about dinosaur fossils, galaxies millions of light years away, or evidence of ancient humans, you might be tuning out a vast and wondrous part of God's creation. So this invitation isn't for everyone. If your worldview brings you deep peace and your questions feel settled, you may not need to go further. But if you feel the tension, if something doesn't quite add up, this may be the time to go deeper. From ancient Athens to modern science lab, one thread runs through every serious search for understanding. Truth matters more than comfort. In science, that means changing your mind when the evidence demands it. You know, people believe the earth was the center of everything until Copernicus and Galileo said otherwise. Newton's laws explained gravity until Einstein expanded the picture. Darwin's theory of evolution challenged our views of human origins. Quantum physics shattered our common sense ideas about matter and energy. Every time we let go of comforting assumptions to get closer to reality. Philosophy teaches the same lesson. Descartes doubted everything, even his own existence, to find what could truly be known. Pascal wrestled with faith and reason. Kant showed us how our minds shape the way we perceive reality itself. These ideas were not comfortable, but they were clarifying. And then there's Jesus of Nazareth. Whatever you believe about him, one thing is clear. He never chose comfort over truth. He challenged religious leaders. He corrected his followers. He welcomed uncomfortable questions. And when the truth he carried collided with power, he didn't back down. He carried it to the cross. His life wasn't safe. His teachings weren't always soothing, but they were true, and he believed truth could set people free. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Whether it's Augustine saying all truth is God's truth, or Galileo insisting that science and scripture must ultimately agree if rightly understood. The point is the same. Truth-seeking isn't a betrayal of faith or meaning. It's the foundation of both. So what's the cost of pursuing truth? It can be high. You might face discomfort, isolation, rejection. But what's the cost of avoiding truth? I'll leave you with this line from the terrific HBO series Chernobyl. The truth doesn't care about our needs or wants. It doesn't care about our governments, our ideologies, our religions. It will lie in wait for all time. And this, at last, is the gift of Chernobyl. Where I once would fear the cost of truth, now I only ask, what is the cost of lies? Thank you for thinking deeply with me. If you're committed to building a worldview rooted in truth, even when it's uncomfortable, you're in the right place. Keep asking good questions and I'll see you next time.